Hi everyone, this is Steve Andersen with the USBA, and unfortunately, due to some scheduling issues, our interview with Jay Ho Cho will be rescheduled for a later episode. But I do want to thank Jim Shovak for accepting the last minute invitation. Jim Shovak, as many of you know, has recently been elected as president of the USBA. Welcome, Jim.
Hi, Steve. How are you? And hi, everybody. Steve, I just wanted to thank you on behalf of the USBA and all of the people that enjoy these interviews. It's been a nice little addition to the USBA benefits, I guess. I've enjoyed some of the interviews.
Oh, well, thank you so much. Yeah, I've learned a lot from all of the guests. So anyhow, congratulations again. Boy, maybe we should get right into it. Tell us about the changes on the board, outgoing, ingoing. Give us the scoop.
Well, you know, we have a new board of directors. We had elected 7, the members elected 7, which was tough because we had 10 people running. All 10 were great people, and obviously only the top 7 got in, so it was kind of tough. But I think overall, the members made some really great choices, and I want to thank the members for that, and thanks for electing me and putting me in the situation. And now we had to add 2 people because we do need a secretary and a treasurer, and I could continue in that job, but there is a lot of work, as some people know. A lot of work as the secretary and treasurer. Not that the president doesn't have its own duties, but there's a lot of work there. So we were able to get Tom Paley from Missouri to agree to become the secretary, and we had Merrill Hughes, who was on the board previously, who agreed to do the treasurer position. And it was my desire to separate the positions so as to not overwhelm one person with too many responsibilities. As it is, you know, both jobs individually do have its demands. So we don't want people, you know, we don't want people to be overwhelmed and then quit, and then you got to train somebody all over again, and then they quit because it's too hard. We don't want to do that. So that was the plan.
Sure. Well, that makes good sense. Well, Andy Janquetto was our previous president, and you and I both agree that we felt he did an excellent job, and I am absolutely convinced that you will continue on our same path. So I'm looking forward to what's going on. So there's a lot of interesting things that I think are going to develop. Speaking of that, perhaps talking about what's very vital to any organization are its sponsors. You know, maybe you can share with us some of the valuable people a lot of times behind the scenes, either financially or different promotion sponsors that we have.
Our current sponsors that we've had now for the last, 2 or 3 years, I guess, is we've had our biggest financial sponsor and supporter has been Gabriel's Tables. They've been very generous and have helped the USBA financially to run our nationals. We had, 3 years in a row, we had the nationals outside of a pool room, and anybody that was there or knows what's going on in the background, there's a heck of a lot of work involved if you want to do a nationals outside of a pool room, because you got to get the tables in there, and then you got to get a mechanic to put them on and travel to the event, and someone's got to put them together and take them apart, and you're on a time schedule. Very, very difficult. We did that the first year Vegas, and Paul Frankel did most of that work. And the last 2 years, one was in Vegas and the other one was in Jersey. And Paul Frankel, of course, was again involved with the tables, with all that work and expense involved. Gabriel's provided the tables, of course, very generously. And also Andy Janquito, the last president, the last two nationals, was very, very, very heavily involved with the running of the events and making sure everything went right. And I'll tell you what, I don't envy him or Paul Frankel in that matter. That's a hard, hard thing to do. I was there as a player, and I was helping out when I could, and even then, I didn't want to get involved. As you can imagine, if I was like running it like Andy was doing, I don't know how he did it. I know it was very stressful for him, but we want to thank him for what he did.
Absolutely, and of course we don't want to forget any sponsors. So, you know, if there's others you want to give kudos to, of course there's a big list, but you're welcome to mention any others you'd like.
Well, the main sponsors that I want to thank for their continued support with the USBA, of course, is Simonis Cloth. Simonis has been a long-time USBA sponsor, and they help us out every year with a certain amount of donated cloth for the tour events and also for the nationals. I'm also hoping that this year we can work something out for an even bigger sponsorship so we can continue with the tour and make it bigger. And, of course, now Simonis, I believe, purchased Aramith. So now Aramith Balls, which is also a sponsor, located in, Belgium?
Yes.
Yeah, so they're also our sponsor as well. They'll be sponsoring us with some balls for the Nationals as well. And then, of course, we have Tiger Q's. Tiger Q's has been there with us for at least 2 years. I could be mistaken. It could be 3, but I think it's at least 2 years. And they've been there for the tour events. They've provided cues that we can give to the room owners so that the room owners can, recoup some of their time and investment in having the tour events at their rooms. And that's been very, very, very helpful to us.
Yes.
And they're excellent, fantastic cues, by the way.
Yes,
and,
I agree 100%.
And the only other people, these are individuals I want to thank. Obviously, Paul Frankel, Professor Cueball, who's, you know as well as I, one of the best promoters that we've ever had.
Yes, I agree.
Okay. And then individual sponsors, I know that they probably don't want their names to be mentioned, but I'm going to mention them anyway. Without these people, every single year, they're there for us when it comes to the tour and other tournaments. And those people are David Levine, Bob Jewett, Marty Isserlis, George Hart and Ricardo, who run Creative Billiard Shirts, and Tommy Thompson. Those people are always there for us every year, and without them, we wouldn't even have a tour, okay?
Well, that's fantastic. Not to interrupt, but for others that would like to become sponsors and help financially or through merchandise or products that they make or sell, how do you recommend they get a hold of you and perhaps get associated with our great organization and become a sponsor?
Well, if they want to become a sponsor, we accept anything. We take checks, we take payment, PayPal, we'll take food stamps.
Yeah,
exactly. We'll take S&H green stamps, you name it.
Sure. But do they get a hold of you by email or phone, or how should they make that contact to pursue that?
The easiest way to contact us is to go to our website, usba.net, www.usba.net, and you can click on a million things on there to see. There's a whole bunch of information up there. If you look under About, meaning About the USBA, there is a section there for Board of Directors. If you click that, that'll show you all the Board of Directors, and you can contact us. The addresses for me, the treasurer, and the secretary are there, so you can mail them a check. Preferably the treasurer, because he's the one that gets the money. That's Merrill Hughes.
Sure.
So Merrill Hughes, the new treasurer. And there's also a donation button area on the right-hand side of the website.
Wonderful.
So you can do it that way as well.
Okay, well, that's great. Let me apologize for Jim and I if there's any sponsor that we forgot. It was completely unintentional. There's a lot of people that are very helpful. So if we didn't mention a name or a product, it was not intentional. So we want to thank all of our sponsors.
Okay, and now we have to read the legal disclaimer. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, exactly. Well, now that you're the president, and you certainly want to steer, our organization in the right direction. So, can you share with our listeners perhaps your vision and some specific goals that you would like to accomplish either this year or the next couple of years?
Okay, I have 5 specific goals. I would say 4 of them can be done quickly within a year, well, within this year, and the 5th one is a little longer term. To me, the first and the most important that we need to do as an organization is we need to get closer involvement with the rooms around the country, and that means whether the room has 1 carom table or if they have 15 carom tables. Either way, we need to have relationships with the rooms so that we work together. There are plenty of rooms around the country that, they are an individual business. And so they're interested in making money, which is fine, and staying in business, and that's great. But we don't have enough of them that also want to work with the USBA and help the USBA, and work together as a team. What we need to do, this is one of the most important things. If we can get the room owner to agree to hold a series of tournaments throughout the year at their room, even if it's 3 of them, preferably 6 or 8 of them or more during the year that are all USBA tournaments. They don't have to be large tour events for thousands and thousands of dollars. They can just be local tournaments or even handicap tournaments. But the idea is, we want the players obviously to become USBA members. And we want also the players to be tied into the USBA, through email addresses and things like that. We want to have that information so we can inform all of these players across the country what's going on with the USBA and the tournament results throughout the year and the upcoming tournaments. And if we have more of those players around the country tied into the USBA system to see what's going on a constant basis, and if there's a lot of things going on, then you'll start seeing more of those players start showing up to tournaments that you wouldn't expect them to.
Exactly.
Okay? Right, because they're aware. Right now, we have too many billiard players out there, and decent ones too, that they're not tied into the system. They don't know what's going on, and they don't really care because they're either ignorant of it or don't understand what's going on, or just like I said, don't have any idea of the tournaments that are going on.
Yeah. So if the room owner, if we had a better communication or a better flow of information back and forth, that carom player that goes to that particular room might be enticed because the room owner would mention a tournament or mention the USBA or mention becoming a member? Is that kind of the idea, kind of a grassroots way of building our organization larger?
Well, you have to do it from both ends. You have to do it locally, obviously, if the tournament director over there, if that's the room owner or somebody over there that's running the tournaments, if they are diligent as far as posting flyers and informing their players of what's going on, not only in that room but in other rooms, okay,
right.
Around the area, especially around the area. Not that you want to necessarily. I understand the room owners don't want to. Help their competition, so to speak. But still, if all the rooms are doing it for each other, then in a way it shouldn't matter. One hand should wash the other in that respect.
Absolutely.
Right. That's number one. That's locally. But at the same time, not only are they getting informed on a local level, but if everybody, as many players as possible, if we have their email addresses, and of course if they read their emails, and we inform them nationally what's going on, we can hit them from both ends.
Yes, yes. Well, that makes good sense. So if you had that magic wand and you could have one wish, a realistic wish, to have done or have done for the USBA to really advance our sport, what is that one magic thing you'd like to see? Anything come to mind?
Well, yeah, you're talking about a magic pill. A lot of people want the magic pill. Okay, what we could do this one thing, and then all of a sudden,
right.
all of a sudden, half the country wants to play three cushion. Okay,
right, exactly.
Right. Well, realistically speaking, it's okay to be idealistic, but you still have to do it within some realism. Okay, if you are a billiard player, you understand that the average person out there, the average Joe, walking along the street who can't even hold a pool stick, they might get on the three cushion table, but to expect them to continuously play three cushion and play in competitions and things and show up for tournaments, it's unlikely. Okay, it's unlikely. So if you want to be realistic, I would be, absolutely thrilled. Okay, we have in this country, 300 million people, 320, something like that.
Yes.
Okay, it's estimated that there's about 45, maybe 50 million people in the country, I think, who actually play pool. Now, that doesn't mean that they are professionals and play all the time. They could just be families that, go out once a month or once every 6 months maybe and play some pool. So I don't know what's really included in that number. But if we use that as a guide, okay, I think it's realistic. It's very idealistic, but it's very realistic to say maybe one of these days it would be great if we could have 1 million people around the whole country who occasionally go out and play billiards. 1 million,
When you say billiards, you're talking caroms.
I'm talking three cushion, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, maybe 1 million, okay? And that's very idealistic, but I think it's realistic. If the game ever got the proper exposure and thing like that, then maybe if we had 1 million people around the country to actually play, which would probably translate into maybe 100,000 who were halfway serious about the game.
Sure.
I think that's realistic.
Yeah.
Right now, I think we're probably somewhere in the area of 5,000, maybe even 10,000 people around the country that actually play.
Yes. Well, I think that's probably a fair number, and let's hope that we continue to entice more of our pool friends to take up the game of straight rail or three cushion. As you know, once you start, you're hooked. Well, I thought we'd change subjects. Maybe take your presidential hat off and put on your USBA vest and be a player. You're an excellent three-cushion player. You know many systems. You know what shots to take, and with each guest that we have, I set up a situation diagram, which I emailed you, and the listeners can see it on the screen. And it's a tough situation. I would not want this shot, but what are your thoughts about this situation?
Okay, well, I had a question about the diagram. Excuse me, because I wasn't sure exactly how you intended it to be, if you wanted it exactly how it was sitting. If I am looking at it properly, can you put up my shot solution, the first shot solution that I have?
Why don't you go by it yourself and use it and describe what you're going to do. You're white.
Mm-hmm.
You have red in the upper left-hand corner, and you have yellow in the upper right-hand corner.
Right.
So based on your perception of what you see, what are your solutions?
Yeah, well, like I said, that was my question. I didn't know if how deep into the corners you actually intended those balls to be. In the diagram that I saw, it looked as if the yellow ball was not really quite in the corner. It looks like it's a little bit out from the corner coming down, and the red is definitely not in the corner, but it's definitely lined up to the corner on the diagram you had.
Well, I'll tell you what. Let's cut to the chase.
Okay.
Let's assume I had no intention. That is your shot. That's where the balls lie.
Okay.
Just
right.
as you see them.
Right. Just as I see them, going 2 rails under the red looks to be extremely difficult, because it looks like you might miss the red completely coming out.
Okay.
Because it's just I think it looks pretty straight. It might be possible to just nick the red coming out, but
yes.
then you take a chance of not being able to get back to that top rail to score the billiard.
Exactly.
Right, and that's why my first solution was going rail first to the yellow. Okay.
Oh, okay.
You go rail first to the yellow, and on this shot you use maximum left-hand English and speed. You need speed on this shot. If you hit it soft, it's going to follow. It's going to hit the top rail too quick, and you're going to hit the red direct probably, or even miss it. So yeah, you got to hit rail first to the yellow, relatively full, and with speed.
Okay. That makes good sense.
Right. And a lot of this also depends on the table condition. People don't take this into consideration. But if the table's sliding, okay, then the shot is actually, believe it or not, easier to make. If the table's not sliding, if you hit that yellow full and too soft, it's gonna follow too quick, and it's gonna hit, and you're not gonna make that the left-hand top corner. So,
gotcha.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. Now that's the way it is written now.
Right.
I don't know if you have my shot number 2.
No, go ahead.
Okay, my shot number 2. If the red is just a little bit more out toward the right of the screen.
Okay.
Okay. Now you also have the other option. Okay. Because then the rail first off the yellow becomes a little bit more difficult, because you could miss the red coming out of the corner. You could go around it. So if it's a little bit more to the right, now you have the option of going 2 rails first to the red, and then catching the top rail and sliding into the yellow ball.
Exactly.
Right. And now one of the mistakes people make on this shot is if you're going to do this shot, you have to realize that your cue ball has a long way to go down the rail to make this shot. So a lot of people, when they hit the shot, they will hit that. They will hit the two rails first into the red. They will hit very hard and very full.
Oh,
and right, and usually when people do that, even if they hit it properly, the ball tends to get to the top rail very quickly, and then it won't make the yellow. It'll come out short. So you get into the rail too quickly. So you have two choices. One is softer speed. Okay, you make the same hit but softer speed so that the cue ball doesn't jump off the red too fast and get back to the rail, and it kind of slides down the rail and scores the point. And the other possibility is a little faster but lower on the cue ball.
Okay. Yes.
Right. The higher on the cue ball will makes the cue ball want to get back to that top rail faster.
That's exactly right.
Right. So if you use lower on the cue ball, you can lengthen out that.
Kind of elongate that angle.
Yes, exactly, right. Exactly.
Yeah, well, that makes good sense. Well, that's perfect. I'm going to probably set that shot up and try it with the yellow ball, strike that, the red ball being out a little further.
Okay, yeah.
Or try just as it is and just play it thin, but rail first, right?
Which one? To the yellow?
The first shot recommendation that you made.
Yeah, rail first to the yellow.
To the yellow, excuse me, I said red.
Yeah, you don't want to hit it thin.
Right.
Definitely don't want to hit it thin.
Got it.
Yeah, you don't want to hit it full in the face either, but you want to hit half ball to two-third ball. Now, one of the things that's good about this shot, if you look at it, and you look where the red is, okay, it's almost impossible, okay, to hit it really hard and get it all the way up to that top left-hand corner and miss on the inside, on top of the red. It's almost impossible. I'm not going to say it's not possible. Maybe it is.
Right.
But it's almost impossible.
Right.
Okay. So that being said, you want to keep this shot with speed, because if you hit it with less speed, you run the risk of going around the red.
Right. That's right.
Right.
Exactly.
But if you hit it, if you can get the right angle and use a lot of speed, it's almost impossible to catch that corner up there and miss the red. Almost impossible.
Got it.
So,
okay, that's good.
Faster is better.
Well, we'll have to try that. Well, look, I'd love to talk to you more, but time is getting short. So I thought you could make some closing comments. I'm sure you want to mention something about Houston next month. I want to say April 9th is the beginning of the Nationals in Houston, and then any other closing comments you'd like to make?
Well, you already said it. We have the Nationals coming up April 9th through 13th. That's in Houston. There's still spots available. I think there's 25 or 26 of them are taking at the moment officially. I'm sure there are going to be local players that will be playing, so I'm certain we're going to end up with minimum 35. We might have more than that. So there are still spots open. So I don't think we're going to run out of spots because they have 8 tables, so we should be fine with that. The other things I didn't mention, which I wanted to, and I'm just going to be quick with it, Steve. I was thinking about maybe next year, if we do have the Nationals in a room, I would like to have, if we can, a Nationals week where we have like 7 or even 8 days straight, and we have championship tournaments for C players, C plus players, B plus players, B players, everybody leading up to the actual Nationals, which would be, let's say, 4 days or something like that. That would be wonderful if we could do that, and it would be a further incentive for the lesser players to come to the Nationals because they'll get to play in their championship tournament for their level.
Absolutely.
And maybe while they're there, they might as well play in some of the other tournaments, maybe even the Nationals.
Sure, that sounds great.
Another thing I'd like to do is I would like to start having clinics throughout the year. I would like to send 2 top players to different locations throughout the year. It might not be the same players, but different. Let's say in the Northwest, in the Houston area, in the Midwest, in Illinois, and Marshalltown, or obviously New York and Florida.
Sure.
Send a couple players to have a clinic, maybe for, a day or two. It doesn't have to be a long, big thing on the weekend, Saturday and Sunday or something. And, have some kind of special where, if you're a USBA member, it's like $10 or something like that,
Exactly.
Right, and if you're not a USBA member, then it's $60. So obviously you get a USBA membership with it.
Exactly, that's good.
Right, and obviously this would cost the USBA money. I don't have a problem with that. We need to make more money, so that's why I'm always concerned. I want the USBA to make money so that we can do those things. And because we don't have the money, well, then I don't want to have money in the bank just sitting around doing nothing. But at the same time, I don't want to just spend it for the sake of spending it either.
Exactly.
I don't want to be a politician in Washington saying, "Oh, we got this money, we got to spend it somewhere."
Right.
I don't want to do that either. Right.
No, we got to be responsible.
Right.
Well, look, I want to thank you. The viewers listeners may not know this, but last minute Jim agreed to do the interview. His wife is in the hospital right now. Jim had food poisoning is just getting over that. So I want to personally thank you for taking the time out with everything else that you're dealing with right now to spend with us, and I appreciate your time.
Yeah, and what you also didn't mention is that I was searching for a thermometer, and I got stuck. I was only able to find the oral one.
Okay. Well, on that note, we'll leave it there.
No. The one other thing I did want to say, though, seriously, Steve, was that I appreciate the interviews you do, and the USBA. You brought some great talent to these interviews, and unfortunately, you've sunk to a new low. That you got stuck with me.
Yeah, right. The president of the USBA. I think that's pretty.
That's pretty
impressive.
Pretty desperate.
You're too humble. Thank you so much, Jim.
Oh, Steve, it's been a pleasure.
All right. Have a good weekend, sir.
You too.
And the best to your wife.
Oh, thank you so much.
All right. Yeah.
Bye.
Bye. Jim?